Hello and welcome, I'm Ellen and I'm joined today by Alex.
Hi.
Who got to go and see Borderlands 3.
Yep, I did.
So, for those who don't know anything about the series, we have a lovely recap video which you also worked very hard on.
Yes.
So go and watch that and then come back to this.
That would be a good idea, yeah.
But for those who don't know anything about Borderlands 3 specifically, do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yes, yeah. So, Borderlands 3 is the third game in the mainline Borderlands series, it defines itself as like a looter shooter series. And what that means is it's a first person shooter, but it's got like RPG elements, so obviously loot in the form of like bazillions of guns. And then there's skill trees and classes. You can play cooperatively with up to 4 people. And it's mainly single player focused. But yeah, Borderlands 3 comes after Borderlands 1 and 2. And then 2 spin-offs, Borderlands the pre-sequel and Tales from Borderlands, which is the Telltale game. And it's sort of a culmination of everything that Gearbox has done with the series so far. Yeah, and it's looking really good.
And much like the previous games, you're faced with 4 new characters in this one. Do you want to talk a little about who they are?
Yeah, so 4 new Vault Hunters. They're all different classes and they cater to different playstyles. So you have Mose, who is basically, she's like D.Va from Overwatch, in that she has a giant mech that she can cool down at certain points, and she can use it to just take down enemies, and she can even get out of it and put it in sentry mode and stuff. So she's basically the tank class. You have Amara, who is the Siren. Sirens are like women with mystical powers in Pandora, the planet where Borderlands is set. So she has really cool abilities, such as like this crazy ground pound thing, or she can lift up enemies up into the air. You have Zane, who is the operative class. He can use either a doppelganger to like distract or confuse enemies, or he can send out drones which can essentially look after him while he's doing something else and attack people on command. And then you have Flak, and they are someone who haven't been able to play as until now. They're already a fan favourite character. They're basically a hunter class, so they can call in one of 3 pets at any one time, and they're sort of better at sniping and like stealth. So one of their abilities is to go invisible, kind of like Zero from Borderlands 2, or they can call in basically like 2 bird drones, similar to Zane, who can just attack people at will. So yeah, we got to play them, and yeah, they're already my favourite person to play as.
So they have 3 pets, did you say?
Yeah, so you can't call them all at once, sadly, because that would be amazing. But I feel like Flak is great for someone who's going to play solo, because you're not playing solo because you have AI companions. So one pet is a Skag, and anyone who's played Borderlands will be familiar with a Skag. It's basically like, I don't know, some sort of rabid, horrible dog monstrosity type thing. The other is a Jabber, which is a new sort of monkey type animal to Borderlands 3. And then the third is, I can't remember the name, but they're kind of like this crab thing that can charge at people.
Crab thing.
Yeah. They all have like pet names, and they're all adorable. You can pet them all, and they're all catering to different types of playstyle in terms of what you want to do for each combat situation.
What did you get up to in the time you had with Borderlands 3?
Yeah, so we played the first 3 hours of the game. Sadly, we didn't get to see the opening cutscene, which is like a big thing for Borderlands.
Yeah.
But we basically played everything else right up until we left Pandora in the new spaceship. A big new thing about Borderlands 3 is that you can travel to multiple planets. Pandora is not the only planet anymore. But the first 3 hours are on Pandora, and it's very much in the style of the Borderlands you know and love. Suffice to say, I'm not going to reveal too much about the story, but if you've seen the trailers, you can probably make some good estimations as to what happens. You're playing as one of the new Vault Hunters, and your new enemy, now that Handsome Jack is out of the way, are the Children of the Vault, which are basically a cult led by 2 new leaders. They're called the Calypso Twins. One is a Siren, and the other is like, it's sort of implied that he has Siren-like powers despite being a male, and I guess we'll learn more about that soon. But they're called Troy and Calypso, and they're acting like influencers and streamers as you know, the kind of things you see in real life. So everything they do, they film and they put it online, and like they have like thousands of followers, and like very funny.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, the joke was already starting to wear thin, like as I was playing. They're quite like juvenile in terms of their behaviour, and they're just not that funny, and they're not that threatening either. So hopefully that changes over the course of time, and like, you know, Borderlands 3 is going to be a long game. So and it sounds like their backstory is going to reveal something that we can empathise with. So, but yeah, at the moment I'm a little bit concerned about how the villains are going to play out. You do sort of learn a bit more in the first 3 hours of the game, which I'm not going to spoil here, but yeah, it's definitely something that's going to keep the story moving forward. Tyreen is definitely a siren, and one of her power is basically she can leech off others and like steal sort of life sustenance from anyone she like lays hands on, which is quite scary.
I was gonna say that's a brutal power to have. That's not the same as like I can call animals to help me
exactly.
fight.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Suck the life out of you.
Yeah.
So you did meet the twins in the 3 hours
Yeah,
that you played.
yeah. They show up in like either as like a holographic sort of to taunt you, or in cutscenes. And yeah, it's kind of like the same. If you've played Borderlands 2, you know like Handsome Jack was always like a worm in your ear just talking down to you from above, and it's kind of the same deal. They're just constantly taunting you. I'm sure they'll have a great boss fight, and like hopefully they'll prove themselves to be a lot more threatening than the first 3 hours imply. But yeah, they certainly have a big presence, and it looks like they'll be the only sort of major villains throughout the story.
Though it isn't unlike Borderlands to make a character's main defining feature that they're just intensely annoying.
Yes, exactly. So maybe that was the whole point and I'm just missing out.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Actually, on the subject of intensely annoying, is Claptrap in the third game.
He is, yeah. Yeah, the Jar Jar Binks of Borderlands. He's there from the very beginning. Like he's, it's almost a Borderlands tradition that he like guides you through the tutorial opening mission of the game, and he's back, and he's voiced by a different actor this time. So he sounds slightly off. It sounds like the guy is basically doing his best impression of the guy who used to do it. But because like his voice is distorted to make it sound more robotic, it's not too jarring. And actually he does a pretty good job of it. If you like Claptrap, you're going to like this Claptrap. If you hated him...
You're speaking to a very small audience.
Yeah, exactly. If you hated him, he's not going to change your mind this time around. Yeah.
He's not suddenly become the hero of the story.
Exactly, no, he's still as obnoxious as ever.
So comparatively, are there any noticeable differences, or did it just feel like the same Borderlands?
I would say it's very much still Borderlands. Like not a great deal has changed, but everything that has changed is for the better. So gunplay on like a moment-to-moment level feels like so good. It finally feels like something close to Call of Duty or Battlefield or something like that. Like the guns feel like they have impact and weight. And I think they've just done a lot of behind-the-scenes tweaks that just make everything feel better. So, like for instance, you can parkour over objects now and like scale stuff. There's destructibility in the environments, which adds a new sort of layer of strategy to combat. Obviously, the graphics still retain that cel-shaded aesthetic, but it definitely looks like an upgrade from Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel. So yeah, like it's not reinventing the wheel. It's just sort of chiseling away at it to make it rounder and smoother as an experience. So if you didn't like Borderlands 2 or just Borderlands in general, I don't think this is going to change your mind. But if you are a fan, then like you'll be able to tell the differences and appreciate them.
I don't think I've ever played Borderlands strategically. So that's
exactly. Yeah, and definitely in terms of co-op, there's a lot of new ways to like interact with people. So, for instance, if you're Mose, who has the big mech, if you get into your mech, then another player can sort of jump onto the back of that mech and like ride them and shoot, kind of like Titanfall style, which is really cool. And like, there's lots of different ways in which, character classes interact with each other, which creates some really nice sort of balance and chemistry between for like co-op gameplay.
So the loot. Is it bazillionaire, as they always say it will be?
There's so in the first 3 hours of the game, I found literally, I can't count how many guns. Most of them randomized, obviously, using that special Borderlands formula. A lot of them also like very specifically tailored and like really cool. So there's a new gun manufacturer, which is the Children of the Vault, basically, so their own guns. And every time you kill a boss, it's likely that they'll drop the gun they were using, which is a new feature to Borderlands and actually really cool. So the first boss your fight is a guy called Mouthpiece, who's all about like sound, and he uses like amps to try and destroy your shields and stuff like that. So the gun you pick up from him once you've killed him, spoilers, is basically it fires like sonic sound waves at people. And the cool thing about Children of the Vault weapons is that they essentially have unlimited ammo, but they only last for a certain time before they break entirely. And they have like cooldown instead of reloads. So yeah, there's so many variations. Like, I had one gun that you, instead of reloading, you would chuck, and then as it bounced, it just went ow, 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 and then flew up into the guy who like it accidentally fell into. There's a gun that shoots guns.
Of course.
There's a gun that like once you chuck it, it just grows a pair of legs and starts walking around and shooting people. Yeah, it's really cool, and I'm excited to see like how far Gearbox are going to take this. I'm sure there's a ridiculous like number and variation of guns in the end game.
Is there going to be a gun that likes being a gun? Because that was my favourite weapon in the second one.
Yeah. It's got those great funny little descriptions as well and everything. And yeah, like I say, I think Gearbox are going to have a lot of fun with how far they can take it.
Were there any particularly surprising things that happened when you were playing the game?
Yeah. So during the late game co-op stage of our preview, we ran into a character called balex. I think he's a sentient robot teddy bear. He kind of looks like the pink teddy bear from Breaking Bad.
Ooh.
And his voice sounded familiar, and then we soon realised it was Ice-T.
Obviously.
Yeah, because reasons. And yeah, he's actually really good and really funny in it. Like, it turns out he's a really great voice actor. Yeah, and apparently, like if you follow Ice-T on Twitter, he's a big gamer and he loves like stuff like this. And apparently, he tweeted about Borderlands once, and Gearbox reached out to him, and that like the rest was history.
It's that easy.
Yeah. So he's like one of the great new additional characters to the game, and I won't say any more about him but just know that he's the teddy bear when you run into the teddy bear. And like in addition to all the new characters, like a lot of the fan favourites are returning. Including people from Tales, pre-sequel. Like Gearbox hasn't forgotten any of that, and it's all canonical to the main story, which is really cool.
Alex, when is the game out?
So the game is out on September 13th. Finally, it feels like it's literally only a month away now. For PS4, Xbox One, and PC. I did ask them about like next gen stuff and about whether they consider doing like they obviously did the Handsome collection for PS4 and Xbox One, and they basically just said we're excited. So yeah, exactly. So if you're thinking about picking up a PS5 or Xbox Project Scarlet whenever they come out, then hopefully Borderlands 3 will be on there too at some later date.
Thanks for speaking to me, Alex, and thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to GamesRadar for more of your gaming news and updates, and give us a thumbs up for Ice-T.
Great.
Yeah.